Straight draft.
You gotta be in it to win.
That's that experience. What?
True story. I'll cry to you if I lie to you.
What do you hang out with this loser for? You want to wind up liking?
Cooling on the corner, 3-4 Tyrone. You could tell that the east side was his home. On the block with the rest of the pushers. Lost hot dope stashed in the bushes. And this how it all went down. Bunch of country ass niggas who had moved to the pound. Blue room niggas terrorized the town. Started out 50 packs, then bricks and pounds. El Dorado, Arkansas had all the bricks. Made CNN news for that ballin' shit. T had a sidekick named C. Rich. Lil' cuz skipped school just to hit them licks. Had some old homeboys named Early Goo. Used to beat niggas down, wasn't scared to shoot. Rest of the homies from the country came set up shop. Sending rocks, bleeding blocks all around the clock. You can find them every day, they on Eastbourne. Zone around the corner, East Hawthorne. Got these country niggas beefing over turf. With some El Dorado niggas who was there first. Now all the dope boys know T-Dirt. From Liberty Street all the way to East First. All of the small towns and the little cities. From Waldo to Lake Village, fucking with it. He wasn't scared to hit the highway, go and get it. Him and his wife, she put the dope up in her titties. So much dope in the trunk, Papa Willie. Might bust a play at East Side, Chickadilly. Get you a 9-piece, all white. The shit daddy cooking, it'll get a nigga life. A lot of crack, so had to keep it low key. On the bad road, you can get a whole key. Check it out. Check it out. White guy hot, had to move around. Kept a couple trap spots every side of town. North side, Morning Star, Wildwood, Fortville. Every part of West Side, all except Hagen Neal. Trapping out a fiend house on West First. Wherever T.
Wait, baby. Hey, this your boy Big Nate with the Real Underground Radio Station. Hey, this Nate Logic, baby. Wait, I missed that, man. I seem like I ain't said that in a while. I know y'all missed that. I know y'all missed that. Wait, baby. Y'all need to hear that more often. Hey, I got my brother here, man. My brother. People don't know this, but this is my family, too. Brother Jihad Muhammad. Brother, now, tell me if I say this wrong. I don't want to be disrespectful. Is it okay to say brother minister?
I'd rather say brother. I had that title before.
Uh-huh.
I don't really think the title did serve me well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the title allowed me to serve as much as I could have served. So I'd rather be called brother.
That's heavy in itself.
You know, a lot of times these titles hinder us from really.
You got to talk to the mic.
A lot of times these titles really hinder us from doing the work that we need to do. And so I'm very honored to be back on the scene after 3 years, refocused. I want to be directly dealing with the people in the community that really need some help right now.
I agree with that. I think the people need to be able to where you can reach them. And sometimes those titles keep you from being able to reach the people.
Absolutely.
So I think what it was is that for a few minutes our phone was muted where they didn't hear us. So I want to go back and Brother Jihad Muhammad.
Absolutely.
Now, are you directly from Pine Bluff?
I was born and raised in Pine Bluff. Grew up here.
Born and raised in Pine Bluff. Yeah. Man, you've been in this game for a minute as far as activism.
Right.
But that ain't where you started.
No, and not nowhere near where I started, brother.
Some people don't know that you come from the other side of the fence.
Right.
How old were you when you first started down the wrong path?
I first started down the wrong path. I was 8 years old. You know, in terms of the first time I skipped school, the first time I got into quote unquote fighting and gang banging at school, I was 8 years old.
Were you? And I don't want. So, were you born into the nation?
No. I actually joined the Nation of Islam in October of 1995. While I was in prison, I had been in prison probably a year and 3 months, and I joined the Nation. I was saying on Facebook several days ago. I gave a shout out to one of our partners, James Brown, and me and him was actually sitting down in prison drinking hooch.
Drinking what?
Drinking hooch, drinking.
What is hooch for the people that don't know?
That's that concoction where you take some fruit and you take your sugar and your yeast and you put all that stuff together and let it cook and you make, liquor. We was sitting, right, absolutely. So we were sitting down in one of the barrages drinking liquor when my letter for my ex came in. So I had actually wrote my letter, the same letter that Malcolm X wrote to get his ex. I wrote that exact same letter to get my ex. In 1995, I still had a few issues. And when that letter came in, they called me a call, and I went and got that letter from Chicago and cracked that letter up. And it was like, man, it's over with.
You knew everything then. Everything from your past life had changed. What was your, because I believe we were around what was your name before it was Jihad?
My name, it used to be Brian Snell.
Brian Snell.
Yeah. Well, most people who knew me prior to me going to prison.
You got to talk it to them.
Most people who knew me prior to me going to prison, that's what they would remember me as.
So, Brian, I'm sorry, because I remember that name, because I think we're around the same age. Mm-hmm. You would have graduated from high school around 97, 98, yeah, somewhere. Yeah. That's.
See, I actually quote unquote flunked the first grade for whatever reason, and that set me behind a year. So I would have actually graduated in 98. But when I went to prison, so happened, I took the GED test in 1997 and passed the first time.
Wow.
So it put me actually graduating at the right year, the year I was supposed to graduate.
Class of 97. Right. So
absolutely.
They still need to let you be a part of the class reunion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Y'all hear that 97? Because I think you Pine Bluff School District or Dalloway?
I went to Pine Bluff School District and also Dalloway, yeah.
So they need to let you be a part of the class reunion.
They got to all the time.
Hey, man, another thing that a lot of people don't know, for those that don't know, they should know, you the dog man around town.
Man, I love it.
I'll say this. You're my personal. Anytime I got a question or concern with some dogs, I'm calling Jihad right there.
Well, it's therapeutic for me, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, though, man. The therapeutic ways and the therapy in dealing with dogs. Dogs, man, listen, if you can tame 100, what's your biggest dog? You probably got 150-pound Rottweiler right now.
Yeah, I got some Corsos kind of big, 140.
Oh my God, you got 140 pounds. So you actually have a yard full of dogs. You have a whole kennel, an extremely successful kennel.
I'm sitting there like 20-some dogs right now.
So I want to make sure we speak on it because you have an extremely successful kennel with Rottweilers and Cane Corsos. And do you specialize in Cane Corsos or Rottweilers? Or both?
If I would say my specialty is the Rottweiler. Now I am becoming more knowledgeable of the Corso, but if you ask me, hey, what is your expertise? It would definitely be the Rottweiler. In fact, I just came from Atlanta on Monday from actually picking up a Rottweiler from Serbia that we had shipped to the United States.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you real deal in the dog business.
Yeah, I'm connected to one of the top 10 breeders in the world.
Wow.
When I say I need something, she gonna send it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right there in Pine Bluff.
Right in Pine Bluff.
Out of 1 billion people in the world, when it comes to a specific breed of Rottweiler, you the plug.
I'm the plug.
Baby.
And here's the crazy thing about it. There is about 5 brothers in Arkansas that do Seeger shows. I could put my hand on 100 breeders. There's only 5 that I know personally go to shows, breeders, and all 5 of those are black men. Now,
and you really probably put them in the game.
Well, it's 3 of them. Yeah.
Man, that's big.
Yeah.
Rottweilers are really a big working dog. If you want a cute dog, don't get a Rottweiler. Right. They're cute, they're beautiful, but I liken dogs to don't get a dog that you can't control.
Right.
And I think that's what happens a lot of times. Don't get a dog that, A, you can't control, that doesn't fit your lifestyle.
Right.
A Rottweiler is a working dog, am I correct?
It's absolutely a working dog, but more important than it being a working dog, you got to make sure that you get the dog with the proper temperament. The Rottweiler is supposed to have a certain disposition. And you get a Rottweiler that want to bite at everything, that's not the true nature of what that dog's supposed to be. It's supposed to be calm, confident, courageous. If I'm confident, I ain't got to bite at everything.
Oh,
You know what I'm
baby.
saying? I ain't got to holler, scream, and kick. If I'm confident, I could be patient. I'm a wait and see type of guy.
See
Let
what
me
this
watch
gonna be.
and see, is this person a threat or a non-threat? And you got a lot of people that's breeding a lot of garbage, and they just, yeah. They want to get at everything.
Got the dog out in the middle of the
it
sun,
ain't-
barely dehydrated,
It ain't real.
agitated. So now the dog agitated, so everything you see agitates it even more. And now it's just uber aggressive for no reason.
No reason at all. And a big part of it has to do with how people breed.
How they breed, you know, they thinking that they want that mean dog. That ain't what you want.
Nah, that's a liability.
Yeah, because if that dog get after the right person, and if that dog get after somebody and something happens, you can go to prison.
Yeah, we had a man go to prison for dogs in Pine Bluff, killed somebody.
Yeah, that not too long ago, wasn't it?
Long ago.
He had them pit bulls out there, wasn't
Well,
it?
they say they were pit bulls, but they were not pit bulls.
They was just some,
They were mixed breed.
because certain breed,
I know they were mixed breed because they tried to give them to me right before the incident happened, and I just told them I don't deal with mixed breed dogs.
certain breeds, like us, are often, looked at downwards anyway, looked at in a negative count with a negative mindset. So, Jihad, man, talk to me. Give me some information. We talked about you being from Palm Bluff. We talked about a brief history of your background or whatnot.
Okay, so I was born in Pine Bluff. I'm the last child of 5. So my mother had 4 boys and 1 girl.
Okay.
My father was killed in 1988, and that kind of derailed my whole family. Even though my father only had 2 biological children by my mother, just the impact of a man's presence was real critical. And so when my father was taken out of the picture, once he was taken out of the picture, this guy's trying to call. He want to come up here. Let me try to let him know where we at.
You need to take a minute?
Yeah.
Okay,
1
hold on.
second.
Go ahead. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Go ahead.
Dirt, you can get the best work. Move to South Side, got it crack. Groovin' Earl at the body shop trapping. A couple dope spots on South Jackson. T and his homeboy Joe, the main attraction. Moved back to the country, tried to lay low. Jack boys found out.
So my father was murdered when I was 8 years old, and that kind of sent my family into a tailspin. My oldest brother became a gangster disciple. My next to the oldest brother became a gangster disciple. One of them wound up going to prison the same year. The other one wound up going to reform school. My next to the oldest brother became affiliated, and at that time,
What did he become affiliated with?
same year, gangster.
So everybody was gangster disciple.
See, we didn't have all this stuff that we have now in Pine Bluff. If you was in Pine Bluff, you was gangster disciple, or you was referred to at the time as either Hoover folks or Shorty folks.
Right.
There was no Bloods, there was no Crips, there were a handful of vice lords. Okay.
Right.
So we didn't have a lot of really gang activity at the time. Really, it was Hoover folks and Shorty folks that was into it, and they was in competition in terms of recruitment. But we didn't have. You had guys that got into riots, they got into fights, they used sticks. Every once in a while, somebody would pull out a knife. But in those years, there was little to no pistol play. And you have to understand, in 88, 89, 90, in these years, the main quote-unquote shot callers went to prison. My brother, Otha Thompson.
Rest in peace.
Steady B. What's his name? Brother just got out. Anyway, anybody that was calling shots or holding meetings, they went to prison between 88 and 91.
Did Otha ever go to prison?
Yes, Otha absolutely went to prison.
Okay, well.
Yeah. And I tell you, Otha was probably he was the most influential youngster from Pine Bluff in the prison system. He could stop or start a riot.
Really?
When the East Side, West Side stuff spilled over into the prison in 1994, he was the one that called the shot that made everybody, lay it down.
In 94?
By himself. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Wow.
When that spilled over in the prison in Varna, he stopped it.
And I think that speaks to why would someone power is an addictive thing. Why would someone want to come home when they got that type of power in the prison?
Well, I tell you this. The challenge for people who are in prison with that power, the challenge for people who are in prison with that power is to transfer it to society. Mm-hmm. Some people don't want it. Big O could have started any type of organization, and those of us who looked up to him when we were younger, we would have rolled with him.
I remember
he just he wanted to live a quiet life.
I remember Big Home. I remember Big Otha. I remember him growing up. He was always a friendly guy. Not even before, even in the 90s when he got out and came home, he was always a friendly guy.
Right.
Even after he got sick, he was still super friendly. He wasn't, but you knew when you was in his presence, you can feel it, feel his aura of, hey man, this thing can go left at any minute.
Right.
That's still
he was I'll tell you this, he was a big brother to us.
Yeah.
I'm talking about even dudes that came to prison for murder. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have no problem grabbing one of us and put us in a headlock and treat us like a little brother.
And get you right.
Yeah. So dude had, and I think about everybody, even Disco, and everybody that came from the hood that went to prison that had pull, it was him. He was the man.
So your father passed. You lost your father in '88.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you and your brother started joining gangs and different organizations.
Right.
How did that? And I understand the dynamics of how that affected your family. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like after losing your father, after joining these organizations, did it ever fulfill anything? Once you joined these organizations, did you feel any fulfillment?
You know what? Hindsight is 20/20, and looking back now, no. Even at school, I'm the guy at school that, hey, don't mess with this dude. I didn't have a lot of fights in school because a lot of people just didn't want to smoke.
They didn't want to smoke. You were taller than everybody. I remember that.
But here's the thing. And I wasn't a bully at school. I wasn't a dude that went around and picked on a dude that couldn't fight.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I had a few challenges in school, and when I had those few challenges, they were so violent to some of those in the school system felt like this dude should be put away. I actually remember 34th school, 5th grade, Miss Ferguson said he should be locked away in a cage. Wow. You see what I'm saying?
In the 5th grade?
In the 5th grade.
So
I eventually wound up going to the Alexander Youth Service Center for getting in a fight at that school under that white woman. You understand what I'm saying? You're a youngster, you in the 5th grade, you fighting. The teacher comes, you in the heat of the moment, she comes, grab you, you push the teacher off you, slight push, and you ain't pushing it to the ground.
You ain't pushing nothing heavy.
Lock him up. So that was my first time getting locked up, was then.
So this was already on your jacket now.
So I'm like, but you got to understand this. I was given a raw deal in the Pine Bluff public school system because of my brothers. If I went to a school It was like, oh, that's one of them snail boys. I already got the target on my back. I never would forget. I went to Jack Rober School, and it was me, Reggie Bishop, Jimmy Walters, Donald Jones. It was about 5 or 6 of us. I was staying in the project. After the school bus ran, all of us was huddled together. I got on the bus, went home. One of them wound up taking a dude tennis shoes. When they took the dude tennis shoes, this was on a Friday, I was nowhere to be found. When I went to school, the principal told me, he said, look, go home and don't come back without your parents. So I come back on Tuesday with my mother. They kicked me out of the public school for good and told me the only way I can go to school in the Pine Bluff School District, I had to go to the alternative school. Now, understand what frame of mind that put me in. Now, here I am.
Didn't have
Just
nothing
got
to
back
do
to
with
the
it.
Pine Bluff School District. At Jack Rober, I ain't had nothing to do with it. And now I'm being punished for something I don't even know nothing about because you all had problems with my older brothers.
They said they wasn't going to deal
See
with
what I'm saying?
it.
So the first issue came up, he out of here.
So basically, your older brothers had already set the precedent.
Absolutely.
They had set the precedent, and they said, well, we've been down this road with them snail boys before. Let's go ahead and send them that way.
Right.
Save us some time.
Right. So when you the youngest, and your older brothers that went before you, they probably done got into it with the teachers, the principals, this and that there. They've been kicked out of school several times. They've been known for fighting the police or whatever the case is. Then when you come down that line, you're going to get it. You're going to catch it.
So when you talk about some of the challenges that these young men face in our community, you're talking from real live experience then.
I'm talking from experience, and I'm saying to our people, particularly those who rail against those who are involved in crime and violence, every black youth that you see involved in crime and violence is not involved in crime and violence because they want to be. That's how you know there's a disconnect from the leadership, because every time the leadership address the issue of crime and violence, they address the issue of crime and violence from the assumption that this is a lifestyle these young brothers or sisters want to live.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Compared to this is a lifestyle that they've grown into. And the system put them in as well.
And they don't see a way out. See, it takes love, wisdom, experience to be able to show a person a way out. Some of us are so wicked in how we think about each other. We don't want to see the brother or the sister who's caught in that lifestyle. We don't want to see them redeemed. We don't want to see them better. And this is why it's easy for us to advocate stronger laws, more police, more prisons. Because if you don't see a way out for them, then that's the only thing that you can see as a solution. So it takes somebody that know God. You understand what I'm saying? Not somebody talk God, somebody that know God, that they can see in what we call the worst of our people, they can see some good in them and be willing to make sacrifices to redeem them. Just like Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad made sacrifices to redeem their own people.
So basically you're saying it has to be somebody who has experience.
Absolutely.
Such as yourself. It has to be somebody who's been in the mud.
Absolutely.
Such as yourself. It has to be somebody from that side of the fence.
Absolutely.
And I agree wholeheartedly with you. There's a disconnect. And I think that disconnect is where we break down as a community. That inability to build that bridge between those two groups. Sometimes it might be the lower educated group. Sometimes it might be the higher educated group. It might be the Christians. It might be our community is so segmented And those pockets of the segmentation is where our community fails at.
We don't see the different segments as an asset. We see it as a liability. I'm a Muslim.
Right.
From my religious perspective, I could use my religious perspective and reach and get certain people, but there are certain people I can't reach with my religious perspective. I got to pull on my Christian brother.
Agreed.
I got to pull on my Hebrew brother. I got to pull on my traditional African religion brother.
Right.
I got to pull on somebody who don't believe in any religion at all.
Right. I liken that to one trip me and you took before, when we went to we went
go to DC.
We went to DC together. We road tripped.
Right.
Me, you, Jeter.
Right.
Who else was with us?
I remember
Kim
that.
Muhammad.
Yeah. Turner, Jimmy Morris.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, was he? He didn't ride with us. No,
He
Jimmy
didn't ride with us, but he was there.
He was there with us. Though.
Yeah,
we
he
were
was
all
there.
in the same
Yeah.
group representing Arkansas. Who else was with us? Me, you, Kim Muhammad, John Jeter,
Brother
Charles, Herb.
brother. No, we met Brother Brian there.
Yeah,
But it was quite a few.
it was. We were about 5 cars deep.
Yeah. And then even one of Dot grandson, who was going to college here, he wound up going. He was with us. Yeah.
One of my little cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sure did. I'll tell you, man, that speaks to that. Exactly what you said is how those different groups created because that's not our only experience together, but that was when you were saying that, how different groups, segmented groups, came together and built something, and we built that. That was an amazing experience.
Just think about it. In the 16th surah or chapter of the Holy Quran is entitled the bee. Think about what the bee does.
Mm-hmm.
The bee works together, but every individual bee has an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Their assignment is to do what? It's to go and land on different plants of different colors, of different hues, in different environments, different heights, and they pull the best from that flower.
Mm.
They're not worried about what the other bee is doing. They're doing their job in terms of pulling the best. Then they're taking the best, and when they come together, they're using the best of what they done got
Right.
to create honey.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then we're told in both the Bible and the Holy Quran that the honey is used as a healing agent.
Ooh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of us have different experiences. Are we mature enough to take our different experiences, bring them together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Strategically to serve the people in our community that we feel like are at the root of crime and violence.
And I think those different experiences are, for sometimes when you have those different experiences, others, for whatever reason, don't respect or don't look at and see the value from people from different walks. And that's a dilemma.
Well, I think a big part of it is tied to money. You know, a big part of just think. I take grip as an example.
Now,
Okay.
before the people don't know exactly what is grip.
Okay, grip is a anti-violence gang prevention program. It's funded by.
Is it nationally or state funded?
It is. I think it's national.
Nationally
But we
funded.
actually have it in Pine Bluff.
So GRIP is a nationally funded organization
Initiative.
to stop gang violence.
Right. It's a gang prevention initiative.
So what? And GRIP has an actual meaning itself.
I don't know what
GRIP.
that- Let me see. Can I look it up?
But
But if you notice when that program was announced by the sheriff department, you didn't see anybody called up there to get any of that money that had any experience in the hood dealing with gang leaders or gang members or crime. Nobody. So the resources that are allocated to actually do prevention work, I put it in the hands of people that don't have a history or knowledge of prevention.
Or don't really know how to do prevention. But let me ask you a question. If you made a reference to the bees, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of our challenges is that we attack the bees and don't say, hey, you can get more. I believe this. You can get more bees with honey than you can with vinegar.
I
So
agree.
when we go to saying y'all don't know what y'all doing, unfortunately, some people feel attacked. And some people in our community is uber sensitive, and instead of them saying, hey man, it ain't that I don't know what I'm doing, or instead of them saying, you're right, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing here, but I know what you have experienced, they don't know how to build bridges.
Right.
And I think that's a challenge.
So the name of it is Gang Reduction Intervention Partnership.
Gang Reduction
And it's
Intervention
Yeah,
Partnership. That's GRIP. And they have that. That is one of the, would you say it's a pillar in Pine Bluff?
So it is now functioning out of the sheriff department. They were giving $330,000 in actual state funding to put this together. So if you could remember, there was somebody that was saying recently that they were tired of just doing meetings, that they really wasn't doing anything other than meeting. Well, one of the things I know about grant funding is when you go for grant funding, you're saying, this is what the goal is. We're gonna do this. This is what we're gonna do. Here are the objectives we're gonna use to get to the goal. Here are the methods. Here's the timeline. So just meeting in a room with 10, 12, 15 people and cutting checks every week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however the checks are cut, they don't get it.
That's not going to get it. You're going to have to actually get in the trenches.
Even
I
one
agree
of the
with
things
that.
that I knew, because I worked with UAMS, with the Fate Task Force, working in the Delta, and me, Rem Johnny Smith, and a group of other people brought millions of dollars into the Delta. And one of the things we had to do when we was getting that money and doing that program periodically, we would have to report to the board that we got the money from, and we would have to explain to them what our progress was. If we wanted to revise something, if something wasn't working, we would have to run it through them to get it revised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So in a lot of these cases, the funding that is allocated is not being properly spent. You look at the DMC. I've talked about it several times. Disproportionate minority contact. That money specifically comes from the feds into Jefferson County or into counties that have been identified as hot zones for juveniles, those who are under 18, having contact with law enforcement and it not ending well. Right. When I say it's not ending well, they having contact with law enforcement and maybe the juvenile, instead of there being an intervention program and getting help, they're being locked up in the jail. And
then it just becomes a part of the prison pipeline.
Right.
Will we agree that when it comes to grant funding, any type of federal funding, any type of state funding, you got to have some measurables.
Yeah.
So,
see, here's the thing people got to understand. They always say for nonprofits, they want you to partnership. When it's a big chunk of money, they want you to partnership with government. Why? Because most nonprofits that just been established in Pine Bluff or Jefferson County, they've never had $50,000 in their bank account.
Very true.
So a lot of times we think that when we go and we get these 501c3s and we establish a nonprofit, we think somebody's going to put $50,000 in our hand, and we have no track record of managing $10,000. So when they say partnership with government, they're saying, look, they're not saying partnership with government so we can put a little piece of money in your hand. They're saying we have some big money, but we need some systems of accountability in place, some track record in place before we issue this money out.
And not only just that, they have to really do that.
Absolutely.
They can't, like you said, they can't just give you $50,000 and say, here, figure it out.
Right.
You have to have, it goes back to measurables. So a measurable might be, well, you say, well, Mr. Federal government, I'm going to run this nonprofit program, and I guarantee that my program will make sure that we have 100 less young men who get arrested. Those are measurables.
Right.
My program
Those are actual numbers you can look at.
Right.
You have a timeline. It's really no different than running a business. If you're going to have a nonprofit, and I tell people all the time, you know, you got to work on, you got to put a great deal of time in your sustainability program.
Correct.
If I give you $20,000 and you're spending it, pretty soon the $20,000 going to be gone. How are you going to continue your work after the $20,000 is gone?
So not
you
only
have to put something in place to make sure that if whatever you're doing, if you're going to need funding, that funding is constantly coming in, and you want to make that money constantly coming in. You want to make it easy.
And not only for that $20,000. Once they say, well, we'll give you $20,000, you have to be able to partner with another group, or you still have to be able to partner with another group that can show you're sustainable.
Right.
Also, you have to be able to show that you can come up with your own money.
Right.
So they're not just going to give you $20,000 and say, hey, you got a running organization. They want you to say, we'll give you $20,000, go out, find another $20,000 that's to sustain your organization, so we ain't got to worry about you stealing our 20.
Right.
Or running through our
think,
20, and then once you run through our 20, you done. No.
Well,
we got to see what you're going to do.
I think that's where partnership come in place. Sustainability plan is very important. If you're going to, I always tell people that if you got a chunk of grant money and you're getting a salary, because most people
that's what's going to eat your. That's going to eat.
Most people that's at the head gonna get a salary, right?
Right.
So if I'm a part of this nonprofit and I got $15,000 coming this year, but this is my nonprofit, I'm gonna have enough sense to say, look, I'm gonna put back a third of this, which is $5,000. Because as this money get ready to run out, I'm gonna need somebody to find me another grant. And people, you know, I hear people all the time, hey man, can you show me some grant sources? People gotta understand, grants are scarce. When you find them and people find out about them, there are multiple people putting in. Those grants in most cases have to be graded, which means that there's somebody sitting down looking at your proposal. And when they're looking at that proposal, they may have $50,000 for 5 organizations, but it may be 7 people that applied. Okay, and if they're only going to give it to 5 people, those 2 people that have the weakest plan, the weakest history, you might not get no money.
I agree 100%, and not with. So with that, they need to understand that these nonprofit organizations and grant funding is highly competitive.
Highly competitive. You got to cross your dot your
I's and cross your T's.
And you got to. My thing is, if you get the money and you use it for what you say you're gonna use it for, and you document properly, and you show the impact. Say you got $20,000,
and you can show
people not gonna have a problem coming back giving you 30 or 40.
Right.
But our problem, what I see in Jefferson County, is our nonprofits, they don't like to do paperwork.
Not only
when I ask them, hey, where your paperwork at? Let me see your plan. All they plan is up here, and I'm saying it don't work like that, bro.
And not only are they don't like to do paperwork, we said they're competitive. Another challenge with it is we operate out of scarcity, meaning that you thought you were going to be able to quit your job and just work that nonprofit. Then in reality, ain't no money in that nonprofit world. So now the people who have done that, they're hoarding any funding sources, any opportunities to build, any opportunities to make something tangible within our community, because that's how they making their bread. Right. That's how they paying their bills.
Absolutely.
Out for these nonprofits. So it's unfortunate, it's sad, it's heartbreaking, but our community is suffering because tell me if I'm wrong, some people in the nonprofit sector, in the service industry, when I say service industry, people who are paid to serve our kids, people who are paid to do the work to build our community and to be there it's unfortunate, but they only looking out for themselves.
Absolutely.
They got to protect their bag.
And it's kind of like this. You look in your circle and you see who can do this job. And if there's nobody competent enough to do the job, you got to go outside of your circle. That's what they haven't been doing. They haven't been saying, let me go out and get somebody that's not my homeboy, my homegirl, my partner, my cousin. They don't. You got to look around the table and say, look, who is the best fitted for this job? Who's going to be honest? Who's going to go the extra mile and make sure that this happens?
Now, let me ask you a question, Jihad. I think that's where a lot of the challenges come in. Would you agree or disagree?
That's where I'll tell you this. After having attended workshops and conferences around the state, Jefferson County, when you attend those workshops and those conferences where they're talking about money, Jefferson County has the worst name out of all 75 counties. There are certain instances where money. I'll give you an example. The lady that was over the statewide stamp out smoking wanted to go through the pastors to do the anti-smoking program in the church and couldn't get the pastors to sign on. It was benefit to church members. It was benefit to the church. They wouldn't do it. There's cases after cases. We talked about the DMC. That's just one example. But if you look at the DMC around the state of Arkansas, black people couldn't pull it together. A simple task, brother. And listen to this.
Well, let me ask you
this. How
this.
simple this task was.
Well, let me ask you this before we go too far into that. When you say black people couldn't pull it together, I want to make sure we're speaking to clarify when you say that. We couldn't pull it together. What do you mean by that?
Well, the DMC primarily was rolled down from the government, federal government, into these different cities. And as I said, in most cases, it was a partnership with government, which meant that they had identified cities that were heavily black with this money, okay? Which means that this money rolled down through the hands of black people. They were making the decisions, okay? Could not pull it together. I was at the table with a plan with one of the best planners in the state of Arkansas. The buck was passed from me. They gave it to a man. I won't call his name. You would know him if I called his name. Gave it to him in Jefferson County. He caught hell getting the office space he's supposed to have got in Jefferson County. Caught hell. Then there was some that wanted me to do the job, but wanted somebody else to get paid for the job. The sister that was over the program over the state, I don't know what happened to her, but they wound up taking a brother that was in Pine Bluff and put him over the whole state. And I think within 8 or 9 months, he had moved out of state. And all this money that flowed in throughout them years, we ain't got a report yet saying what happened to the money, and we know it was coming in. So I'm saying, this is only one case. So I'm saying, we have a problem as it relates to funding programs that are designed to help black youth. The money disappears and there's no accountability. There's no reports. There's no accountability to the community. If you notice, when I talked about doing the Peacekeepers and Mark Cannon had me on his Facebook, I said, whoever give to this cause, get them a receipt. You understand what I'm saying? Because Jefferson County is so known for people calling themselves leaders and stealing money that's supposed to be designed to help the people. Let me say this. This is something that's easy to fix. It's very easy to fix. When you're talking about government money coming into anybody's hands to clean up anything as it relates to black youth, there's nothing wrong with having accountability to how much money came in. This is what it was spent on, all the way down to the dime.
But let me ask you a question. I agree with accountability, 100,000%. I agree with being transparent. But do you honestly think it's going to take money to fix a broken child? How much money is it going to take to fix a broken child in a broken system? Can that do? Does that do it? I don't know if there's a dollar amount that you can put aside to say, hey, this gonna fix a child who's come from a broken home, who's come from a broken mother and a broken father, in an unloved environment, in a broken education system. There's no dollar amount that can fix that. So while programming and all these different things are good, yeah, they help, but are they going to fix the problem? So my question is that.
I think that the problems that we face as a people, particularly as it relates to juveniles who are the most vulnerable, there has to be a multifaceted approach. It's not a one-size-fit at all. It's not a, hey, I'm going to use this tool and it's going to fix it. But it's a multitude of issues. And you look at parenting. There's no parenting classes in the school. There's no trades in the school that teach you how to do woodwork, welding, all these trades that we used to have years ago. There's nobody even pushing right now in our community the Job Corps. So there has to be a multiple approach. You do have to have people that are knowledgeable. You have to have people that love our people. You have to work with the parents to get our children on track. And I think that the parents at this point should have some consequences. Okay.
Ooh, that's heavy though.
Yeah, it's heavy.
That's heavy.
But let me tell you why I say that. I say that as a brother that got involved in crime late at night. My mother wasn't at home.
She was at work.
No, my mother wasn't at work. You remember I told you my father was killed when I was 8 years old?
Right.
How did my mother cope with that?
Ooh.
She went to the bingo hall. How many mothers tonight are going to be at the casino
instead at home with their baby
and not knowing where their children at? They're going to go. The children already know. Mama going to get dressed. She going to get fly. She leaving out about 9 o'clock, and her pattern is she don't come home till 1.
Baby.
So when she dot the door at 9, I'm dotting the door at 9:30.
Or I'm bringing somebody over.
Do you know how many nights I went out? Walked me, my brother, Edward White, Rump, walked from 21st Street at 9 years old, 21st Street apartment, the same apartment as Whitfield on now, all the way down Old Main, all the way over down Hardin, all the way down to Olive, where they have that daycare. There was a man named Mr. Bowie used to stay there. Jack Argent over Argent Electric, his uncle. But we did yard work for him in the daytime and stole his beer at night.
Hey, a quick story. Break it down.
So
that doggone Edward White boy, Rump.
He was a mess.
Hey, Rump came, knocked on my door one day. I said, God damn. I was scared.
Oh, he was a mess.
Rump came, knocked on my door. Big Nate, I know you in there, Big Nate. I see you through the door, Big Nate. Man, Rump, I was always Big Nate, but Rump could fight.
Oh, no, me and him got to fight before.
Rump could fight.
Me and him got to fight.
Rump knocked on my door, man, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
damn,
right.
I'm about to stab him. And by that time, he had already done a couple of bids in the penitentiary, already had a couple of bodies and everything. We were out of high school, matter of fact. I seen Rump walking down the street and turned around, driving down. I'm driving and he walking. I'm going to go the other way.
Right.
Rump was a dog, man.
Rump.
And he could play some ball, too. If we ever could have got Rump on a football field, he would have been the best athlete out of America.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, he didn't grow up with any brothers.
Nah, Rumpy.
He-
I don't remember all that.
he
But
was-
I remember him being a dog.
I remember his mother very well.
Is he still with? He's still alive?
Yeah, he's still out.
Where he at
I
now?
think he locked up.
Shout out Rump, man.
But me and Rump got to fighting one day, man, because he told somebody he had whooped me. We had never been to fight. We had never fought. And he told somebody he had whooped me, and dude said something to me about it. And, man, I was riding the bike, me and my older brother. And I saw him, you know how you used to take the bike and throw the bike from up under you? Man, we got to fight. Yeah, so I remember that. Years ago,
Hey, man, shout out Rump, man. I pray everything good with you, man. I know y'all can listen in behind them walls. So shout out. If y'all see Rump, tell him Big Nate said what's up. Tell him old Jihad.
Right.
What would he call you?
Brian Snell.
He would call you Snell back then, huh?
Right.
Hey, so Brian, my bad. I'm sorry. Jihad, we can agree that this problem, like, one thing you said, that this is a problem that has to be fixed from multiple angles. There's no fixing our community by just policing the mama. There's no fixing our community by just locking these kids up. There's no one specific way. In your opinion, what is the most impactful way to do this?
I think that, as I said, I don't think that there's one approach. Parents have to take an honest look at themselves and make some adjustments in terms of their lifestyle and their household. And I'll give you an example. The sister that's bringing 15 men through the house, that she having sex with 15 different men, that 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old boy, he know what's going on. It don't feel good to him. It affects his self-esteem. It affects how he's going to relate to women. The young girls that are 13, 14, 15, it affects how they're going to relate to men. Let's just be honest. If you look at some of the sisters that's giving their draws to everybody right now, go back 20 years ago and look at their mama.
Ooh.
Just
So are you saying, are you faulting the women for this?
I had a sister, listen.
Yes. Are you faulting women?
It's clean across the board. Everybody got to take some responsibility, women and men.
Okay, I want to make sure.
Everybody got to take some.
Because you said women.
I'm going to give you an example of what I'm saying. I had a sister say something to me, wanted me to mentor her son. I can't make no commitments to mentor nobody's child. I said, well, let me pull him close to me. Let me talk to him. You know what the problem was? The biggest part of the problem? She was the goddamn problem.
Baby.
I was going to the juvenile center. I quit going down there. I had a female that I was dealing with before I went to prison. Had a daughter down there. Broke down crying, told me her mama had been smoking weed with her. And when she said something to her mama about her mama not spending the child support money on her feminine hygiene care products for when she had her cycle, her mama got pissed off and told the folks she was smoking weed, and they locked her up. So let's be real. Parents got to make some adjustments. We don't want to change nothing. We say we love our children. We'll cry when something happened to them in the street, but do we really love them enough where we willing to make adjustments to our own personal lifestyle?
Accountability.
Don't grab. I tell been on my damn wife ass. We got to quit grabbing our food after the food is cooked and running in the goddamn bedroom. Set the table. You got a brand new table. Set the table. Get the children around the table. Let's find out how their day was.
Let's
find out what's going on.
Dinner. Right. I agree. I think that's great.
You cannot address crime and violence, locking people up. I think Minister Aleem out of Texas posted about this on Facebook this morning. You cannot politic and talk about crime and violence, building prisons, locking people up, and not talk about rebuilding the family. The first institution that God established on this earth was marriage and family. In order for you to get things right, you got to go back to marriage and family. You talking about building a city, but you're not talking about building the home. It ain't gonna work. These idiots gonna destroy everything you built. Until you put something up here in the people's mind, they gonna destroy everything you build. And
I agree with that. And
we know.
I agree.
Here's our challenge. We know what it takes. We can sit here and talk about the problem. We can talk about the solution. The problem is not that we don't know the problem. It's not that we don't have solutions. We don't have the courage to implement solutions. One year, me and Reverend Johnny Smith was on a tour, Red Ribbon Tour, and we went to James Matthews, and we were talking to the educators, and the sister said, concerning the curriculum, she said, we know what the students need, but we can't give it to them. We know what our people need.
We can't give it to them.
We don't have the will to do it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is it that we can't give it to them, or they're not ready to receive it?
Brother, I believe in actual facts. I don't believe in assuming. What I can tell you is this, that when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told the men, members of the Nation of Islam, the FY, the Fruit of Islam, to go into your city and go into the worst neighborhoods, into the projects, take the final call, get into the homes of the people, talk to them and find out what their needs are, we were well received. Our people didn't disrespect us. We were well received. We were able to help people with problems. Our first day out, not Elmwood apartment, Beechwood, but the apartments that were right behind Payless. There was a brother and a sister fighting. A brother was whooping his girlfriend ass. Me and Charles ourselves went in there and brought that man out of that goddamn house and talked him down and talked to her and helped solve their problem. So the issue is not whether our people want to be received. The issue is not that we're going to be rejected. Damn it, we ain't taking nothing to the people.
We just saying, hey.
They don't want it.
They don't want it.
How you know they don't want it if you ain't taking it to them?
You got to give it to them.
And that requires what?
Work.
It requires sacrifice, but that sacrifice is undergirded by love. Who has the love to go after the lost sheep? The Bible says that if I had 100 sheep, and one of them lost, said I leave the 99 and go after the 100. How many of us have? We talk that crime talk. We say it needs to get better. We complain. But how many of us have that redeeming spirit in us that we're willing to go in the highways and byways? We're willing to get in between the guns and the gangs and save the lives of our people. We don't have it. That's the problem, brother.
So, Jihad.
Listen to me. We got 300 churches in Pine Bluff. And crime is everywhere. That means that the churches is not effective. The preaching that they're preaching is not a preaching that's effective.
Is that fair?
It's absolutely fair, brother.
I get your point.
That's absolutely fair.
I agree. I can see your point.
Brother,
so hold on.
Let
me ask you a question.
Listen to this.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. We got 300 churches in the city of Pine Bluff, right?
Yes.
While I definitely get your point, and I can definitely see the work that needs to be done on behalf of the churches, are we being fair when we expect these churches to do the work, to make these sacrifices by themselves?
Absolutely. How do we know that we're being fair? It was Jesus and 12 disciples. And he didn't make no excuses.
He got out there and got it done.
Some of these people got 40, 50, 100, 200 members. Come on, bro. And then you say you following Jesus, right?
Oh, baby.
He wasn't worried about no building. He was out in the street.
Doing the work.
So I'm saying, listen. I'm saying this. If it's 300 preachers.
That's enough right there, right?
That's enough. Do you know what we can do with 300 preachers?
That's 300 men.
Let me give you a vision.
Even if you just took 10% of that, that's 30 men.
Let me make the vision plain.
Hey, Jihad, we finna fix this problem right now, right?
Let me make the vision plain.
Make it plain for me, baby.
If you got 300 churches And I said, brother, we need one man from each church to give us 300 men. It don't have to be the pastor. We're going to go into the worst part of Pine Bluff, and we're going to clean it up from crime and violence. We said, well, Mr. Muhammad, how y'all going to do that? We know that if you go to Neighborhood Scout, it shows you the worst part of Pine Bluff. It's the west side. 13th all the way through 31st.
How many churches in that area?
I don't know, but it's quite a few. What if we corner off and say we're going to take a 10-block radius on the west side? And the worst part, so we'll be covering 26th, 24th, that whole area. Let's say we get 10 blocks. This is the safety zone. It's the worst part of the city. We're going to prove that we can do it. Now, I have people that I respect around the country that's doing this, different cities. We bring them in to train. They train 20 men, 20 women, 20 children. We got 20 school children that are trained in conflict resolution, squash the beef, first aid, CPR. We go into that neighborhood, divide up in teams. We need 1 hour a week. We can look at the numbers because from the police reports, you can look, you can analyze the. See, I deal with data. I don't deal with emotions or assumptions. You can see when the most crimes are happening, the most violent crime. We go into the community at that time, right? There's a shift for us. We break down into 20 people a group. We rotate. We go into that community. We go in the name of peace to establish peace. We go door to door. We finding out what the people needs are. We're developing a relationship with the people because we done already been trained in the properly handling people, how to handle people.
So let me ask you a question. Let me break it down real quick. When we go door to door to these houses, what's that conversation?
We're going with resource pamphlets. Okay. So you with an organization, you with a church, you with a nonprofit, you over here working for this healthcare agency. Each one of these entities should have a pamphlet. So when we hear that this brother ain't got a job, we got a pamphlet that's going to help him, show him where to go to get a job. When we hear that this sister here has a healthcare need, we got a pamphlet, we got a person to pair him to that's going to help him get that need. So what is ministry about? Ministry ain't about a bunch of damn talking.
So we go on with resources.
Getting your ego rocks off. It's about meeting the needs of people.
So we going when we go to these doors, we're going with resources.
We're going to develop relationships to find out what the needs of the people are. We got people that go to the barbershops. When they go to the barbershop, they go to the barbershop to have a peace conversation. You know that the barbershop is the most neutral place in America for the black man. You can go to the barbershop and talk about anything. Go in there in peace, have a conversation, walk out in peace. You can't do that nowhere else. You can't do it in the mosque. You can't do it in the church. You can't do it at City Hall. You can't do it at a town hall meeting. You can't do it nowhere else. But you can do it in the barbershop.
Yeah.
So we go to the barbershop and we have these conversations about crime and violence. We hear about Joe Blow and this person and that person is into it. We find out who the people is. We contact them. We can do research on social media and contact them people, find out who got influence. We can sit them down and talk to them. Then we could bring the two parties that's beefing to the table together. That's a way it could be done. That we could do the security search procedure. We could sit them down at a long table. We could help them iron out their differences with a mediator right there. They could shake hands and walk out in peace. Then we could have it as a success story because the reality of it is, I've been to prison for murder. I know how I feel on both sides to have somebody killed, and I know how I feel to kill. I know how I feel to be punished for killing somebody. I don't want to kill nobody, but if it's me and you out to get me, and I got to guard my life, I'm going to pick that pistol up, Nate.
You going to go home.
I'm going to pick that pistol up.
You going home.
So it don't have to be a situation where, damn, Nate looking for me. He got his gun. I'm looking for him. And the first time we see each other, we start shooting. No, somebody can say, hold on, man, I know Big Nate. Let me pull Big Nate to the, hey, man.
Let me talk to him.
Yeah, somebody can say, hey, man, I know Jihad, man. Let me pull him to the table. And once from that, you got people that specialize it, they cool the situation out. It might be just a general misunderstanding. A lot of times my people are killed, bro, it got something to do with rumors. Miss Mary Hussein out of Little Rock had all 3 of her children murdered execution style because of a rumor. You hear me?
I hear you, brother.
There's a man in prison doing a life sentence because of a rumor he killed the wrong man. But when you got these mediators who have been trained in conflict resolution, I'm not talking about the conflict resolution you got from somewhere else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about conflict resolution from people that's out in the community all over America doing the work.
And who got actual
They
results.
got the data, they got the results. You can go and see the testimonies. People that were with them things going to kill somebody and they intervened.
Right.
And took them things out their hand and brought about peace. I ain't talking about no reeky-deeky dudes. I ain't talking about no scary dudes. I ain't talking about no dudes that ain't got no love for people in the black community. I'm talking about dudes that got love, they got the knowledge, they got the experience, they got the results. So I said,
and the know-how. But
so I said I need 20 men. There are some men that have already got in my inbox and they say, hey man, I'm gonna donate, I want to attend. I need 20 men. I got a date already set. Let's come in together and let's take the training. Let these brothers organize us and let them come in periodically to walk us through the process. It ain't no damn pipe dream. We can go pull the data and show that when we go in the community and the numbers is at 85 as far as the crime, and we come back 6 months later and say, look, you was at 85. We done reduced it down to 62.
And this is what my organization, this is what we
This
doing.
is what we're doing.
And these are tangible results.
We saw tangible results. 6 months later, we come back. Bang.
More tangible results.
They got to get behind it. They got to line up. Listen, man.
But do you think that's the challenge, though?
Our city and county leaders don't have no plan. Let's just be honest. They don't have no plan. Let's keep it real. The people that want to replace them don't have a plan. The people that had to seek before them didn't have a plan. We could prove that. They won't argue with me.
We already seen it.
Do you understand me?
They're
not going to argue with me, brother. So I'm saying, once we go and we got this data, we can say now, you running for office, Big Nate? This is what we need. Are you willing to endorse this plan and make it public policy? See, we got black leaders that already met all over the country to put together solutions for our people. We ain't got to reinvent the wheel. We got solutions, brother. Our problem is, do we have men, women, and children that's willing to make the sacrifice
and have the courage to do it?
Implement the solution.
Ooh-wee, baby.
This ain't no pipe dream, man.
It's doable.
I'm an example, brother. I was a killer. I killed a man that shouldn't have been killed. Went home at 14 years old, ate me a bowl of cereal, went to bed, got up and went to school the next morning. And now when men come and sit and talk to me, lives are changed based upon the teachings I've been studying and based upon the example I've been setting. So I'm telling you, this is doable. It's something that can be done. This ain't no pipe dream.
But do they want to do it? That's my question. It ain't a question.
Listen, brother.
Do they want to do it?
As I said, we only need, what they say, a few good men.
Ooh-wee, baby.
We need a few good men. Asking for 20 men to start out in Pine Bluff, that's not a lot.
Agreed.
20 men, that's not a lot, brother. We get to 20, if we only get 20, let's work with the damn 20. The rest of them would come
when you do the work
out of shame. See, everybody want to be a part of something big. Right now, people hear the idea, they sit back and say, well, man, they don't know whether it's going to work or not. But when you're a winning team, everybody want to be on a winning team.
And then when it does work, when they see you out there doing the work and they work, now everybody want to jump on the bandwagon.
Now listen.
How do you go?
Now hold on.
Would you agree with that?
Let me throw you a curveball, Nate.
Uh-oh.
To all you players out there. You know what make a woman go crazy? You know what makes a man attractive to a woman?
What's that?
That man is strong. That man is disciplined. That man is putting work in the community. Positive work. I don't give a damn who it is. That woman gonna look at that man and want that man. Do you hear me, brother? Why you think the preachers have so many women jocking them?
Power.
So I'm saying take it and use it for good. Yeah, y'all manipulating them anyway. Give the woman a reason to feel good about opening up her legs to you.
Hold on.
No, listen.
Jihad, you just kind of went. You went kind of left now.
No, I haven't went left, brother.
Okay,
listen
talk to me.
What I'm saying.
Make it plain for me. Make it plain for me.
Hear me good. Hear me good, brother. Right now, our women are giving pleasure to men who are not worthy. I'm saying, here's a way to make yourself worthy of what you want. What good is me or you going out and producing a child in Pine Bluff and that child growing up in a neighborhood where they might be shot down in the street by a drive-by shooter?
And the crime not get solved. Right.
You know, so I'm saying it's going to happen anyway. Why not clean the community up for our children and the women that we laying with? I don't want to. My woman is at home at night, brother. I don't want to get the call that, hey, man, some dude done robbed your woman over here in this neighborhood.
So you're saying
some dude done shot your woman in this neighborhood.
So
I'm saying there's a correlation that the men got to step it up, and the women have a responsibility of making sure that they men, if they are men, are on the front line to cleaning the community up for their children.
So let me make sure I have a clear understanding. You're saying that men have to, like you said, have to step up to protect and provide, mostly right now, to protect our community.
We got to clean the community up.
And the women got to stop laying with these lanes.
For our children and for our women. They are the most vulnerable. Our children that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They are the most vulnerable. When that son walk in that neighborhood and he sees somebody selling dope or robbing or acting a damn fool, he's affected by that. Then he get up to 16, 17. He crazy as hell at this point because he been in this environment sucking up all this foolishness. It don't have to be like that. You go into the Jewish community around America, they ain't calling the police because of crime and violence, because they got men that make sure that crime and violence don't happen in their community, brother. Or at least keep it to a minimum.
They got somebody doing the work.
I'm saying we can, it's our responsibility. The police can't do it. We can get to people and talk to people and calm stuff down, and the police can't do it. Now, you remember back in the day when Eddie Turner and them was on the force, and they felt like you were doing something that you didn't have no business, about to hurt somebody or something, they would pull you over. And they patrol. Hey, come here, man.
What you got going on?
Hey, what you got going on? So and so. I remember Eddie Turner told my brother, my oldest brother, Radford, him and Edward Love, both of them are deceased now, went to prison together. They stole some stuff from a judge, and because the judge was white, a rich white man, they first offense, the white man sent it to prison. Eddie Turner was the one that pulled up on them and said, hey, man, we already know that y'all got the moped and the four-wheeler and all that stuff, man. Just take that stuff and put it in the ditch. If they would have listened to that police officer's wisdom, they wouldn't have went to prison, brother. We don't have officers like that care enough about black people today to say, look, man, come here, man, let me pull your coattail. They don't have that relationship.
Well, let me interject, if you don't mind.
Well, I'll say most of them, the ones that I know down there, they ain't got the relationship.
I got a few that I feel comfortable with.
Well, I need to see them.
Yeah.
They need to come. We need to talk.
Yeah, I got a few that I feel that way. But I also want to interject. We just had a vote. Policing then ain't the policing now. Now these young boys is on something different. Would you agree or disagree? It's hard to communicate with some of these young boys now.
I agree and I disagree, brother, because remember, just a few months ago, I was working at the gas station.
All right.
Night shift.
So you was right there with them.
Yeah, I'm talking about dudes coming in with their pants down, talking crazy. And there's never been one time that I've told one of them youngsters, hey, say, man, pull your damn pants up.
And they ain't say nothing back.
And they didn't, nigga, I never got that response. All right, old school. They pulling them up, all right, man. Man, you right.
I agree with that.
You know
I've done a lot of.
So I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, we're not trying to reach them. That's the problem. I keep hearing, well, they're not reachable. Listen, man, all these children got a common denominator. That damn public school system.
Well, let me ask you a question.
And when they get down there, they got the alternative school and they got the juvenile center. Why not catch them at the juvenile center?
Well, let me ask you a question, because one thing I think we need to really understand is when we say they're not reachable, is that fair? I don't think. Here's why I feel like that's not fair, in my opinion of it. It's like you said, we're not approaching these young men or these boys as if they're not human beings. Right. So when you approach one of these young men, I mean, you need to approach them with some reverence, not with reverence, with some respect.
Look, I would agree with you 100%. That's why I said one of the aspects of that training is the proper handling of people. Mm-hmm. You ain't got to be disrespectful to people. I'm gonna tell you something. There's a dude that hangs out by Walmart. He has some psychological issues. Tonio. The supervisor, the manager, used to always run him out the store. When I first started working there, they said, hey man, they said a man come sit on the toilet, and sometimes we'll go in there behind him and he'll have boo-boo smeared all on the wall. So sometimes they would kick him out the store. Some workers would be in there, they'd be scared to kick him out. And so they turned to me for guidance. I said, look, let me deal with it. I didn't know the dude. Say, man, come here. Walked out with him. I had a conversation with him. He would come back. Oh, hey, Muhammad, what's going on? If I got something to offer him, it's at the end of the night. I'm going to throw this chicken away anyway. I know this brother hungry. Why not give it to him? Now I got a relationship with him. He watching my back. Y'all say he crazy, but he watching my back. He's coming into the store. The manager saying, oh, I don't want him in the store. Well, I'm saying, hey, when I'm working and I'm here, I'm not going to put him out the store. If he become a problem, I'll put him out. But at this point, I'm going to work with it, and I'm going to look out for him. I got him. So I developed a good relationship with this brother suffering with this mental illness, because that's our responsibility is to try to help our people.
So let me ask you a question, though. But let me ask you a question, Jihad. Everybody don't have that courage, and let's just keep it a buck. Jihad, you ain't no little dude.
Okay, but all right, let me explain this to you. Brother, do you know the time that I didn't have the courage that I have? If they don't have the courage, the question is why not? And if they don't have the courage, maybe they should come to class. And we would give them something to solve that problem.
Give them the tools to be better.
Some people don't have the personality to deal with people. We got training for that. Come get the training. I could go anywhere, man. I could go down 13th and deal with the crackheads, the prostitutes, the dudes with the guns. Then I could go to UAPB, deal with the college students. I could go to CR. I could go down there at City Hall and deal with them people. I could go down there. Listen, we have to develop ourselves to the point where we can deal with people. And if you ain't got it yet, come to the class for a few days and get it. Walk the streets with the brothers that got it. Study how they interact with the people, how they deal with the people, how they deal with rejection. You're not going to be accepted with open arms from everybody. But the question is, how do you deal with rejection? I'll show you how to fuel your rejection. You don't need number one win.
That's it.
Some of us ain't had no one win. When we out there with the Final Call newspaper, it may be 15 cars pass us by. We ain't mess up about them 15 cars. We looking for that one car that's going to get that paper.
That one.
And then when people come and those that reject, we still kind and courteous. Why? Because We want to win them over. We want to win our people over. The people that's out there that's involved in crime and drugs and all that, we want to win them over. And if you study the Bible, there was a man in the Bible that was killing Christians. He had to be won over.
Because if he can turn Saul into who?
Paul.
Hey, surely he can do something else.
We got Sauls out there that need to be turned into Paul, but they're not going to be turned into Paul until they have an experience, until they meet the God in us.
And you got to usher in that experience for him.
You got to usher in that experience, bro. It don't happen in a vacuum. Ain't nothing falling out of the sky. We waiting on something to fall out the sky to save our people. When the scriptures say I was sending them saviors. Once we saved, then we become saviors, brother.
We have to do the actual work.
That's what it brought. Be not ye hearers of the word, but be ye doers of the word. Don't just hear it. You got to be a doer.
I agree. We got to get out there and do the work. If we want a better Pine Bluff, if you want a better Little Rock, if you want a better Charlotte, North Carolina, if you want a better anything, you have to put in the work for it. It's like you said, like he said, it's not going to fall out the sky. We can't expect nobody to make it better for us. We have to actually put in the work to make it better. And that's been the challenge in our community quite often, is that we ain't doing the work. I don't care how you cut that cake. Our community has fell by the wayside in education, in every measurable way, because we didn't do the work.
Now, let me tell you this. That's the problem young people have with religion. Because all of the major religions teach what? Somebody else going to come and do it for us. Listen now, somebody in Judaism, in Christianity, in the old world of Islam, it's taught somebody else going to come. Just wait until they get here.
But is that fair? They say in Christianity, faith without work is dead. So,
but who putting the emphasis on that? Who leading the example? Who's saying, okay, let's go out here in these streets like Jesus did? Who doing that?
Not enough
That's
of
your
us.
problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Who's doing the actual heavy lifting?
The heavy lifting.
And I think that's what scares a lot of people. It scares a lot of people to have to go out there in the community and do the lifting. It's scary to know that I'm going to be honest, I've been in situations with these young boys, looking back, I almost got killed. And all I was doing was just in the trap with them, trying to give them a bit of guidance.
But I'm going to tell you something. This is what I noticed. The more you get out in the highways and byways, the stronger you become. I have people stop me today, and they talk to me like the inmates talk to me in prison. You know what I'm saying? It's being transferred from institution to outside. I had a brother say to me, I had a sister. I was at the town hall meeting. I'm not running the town hall meeting. I'm not the president. I don't have no big title. I'm sitting down at the meeting. A sister that's 5 came and whispered in my ear. She said, "Brother, I'm here to support you." It kind of hit me. She went and sat back down. Here to support me. I was doing some lawn work, and I talked to a brother about politics, and he started to talk to me about my quote-unquote influence. And he's saying, well, brother, what you gonna do? How y'all gonna do this? How y'all gonna got it? And I'm saying this, if you out in the community, like what you doing with this show, you growing in influence, brother. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's once you doing the work, the muscles is growing. Your community muscles is growing.
Agreed.
Because of the work that you're doing. That sister, Letitia Bronson, her community muscles is growing. She the one on the city council that could pull everything together. Cause look at how she moving. Ain't nobody got the innovation, the creativity, the courage, the confidence to move like she moving. That's on that damn city council. She really the one to take the goddamn lead.
Yeah.
Whether you want to know it or not.
I agree.
So I'm saying this. As you put yourself out there, you grow. Brother, when I started studying Islam, this brother tell you, I went to Commons at 16 years old. I had been studying Islam a year. And when I got there, my name had went throughout the prison. There were people that were coming to see me who had been in the prison for years. When I left Commons and went to Dermont, the brothers that was already there, they said, man, why don't you lead the community? So wherever I went, people were saying, why don't you lead the community? Even if they had somebody right there. Why? Because when you start doing the work, you're going to grow in influence.
And sometimes
it's just on you whether you want to use that
influence
for good
correctly
or for bad.
Right.
But you're going to grow in influence. But I was able to say, hey, to the police officer, man, dude did say, yeah, he did it, man. But he all right, I'm working with him, man. Don't write him up. Let him go. You see what I'm saying?
That influence.
I was able to, I had a guy that, I'm going to tell you this and then I'm gonna get off of it. There was a guy that came to the store, an older brother, and brought 2 propane tanks. He was on a golf cart. There was some white men came behind him, and they said, keep him in the store, keep him in the store. They were telling my supervisor, keep him in the store. He stole that golf cart, keep him in the store. They wanted him to go to jail for stealing the golf cart. I said to my supervisor, he's not going to go to jail. He's an older brother. And I went out there and I said, brother, don't get on that cart. I'm going to take you home, put those propane tanks in my vehicle. And on my way taking this brother home, that brother told me, he said, man, I said, what happened with this damn cart? Because now all these white men, they done surrounded them like they finna do something. So I'm telling my supervisor, look, I'll be back. They'll clock me out. So as I'm taking this older brother home, the brother said, well, man, I was at the hospital and it was late and they released me and I couldn't get nobody to come get me. And he said, after a while, I started walking. Our elders. And he said, man, I saw the cart and the gate was open. He said, I took the cart and he drove the cart home. A long way. Listen. I felt that brother pain, man.
He just got out the hospital.
You sick and you hurting and you can't get no damn help. And the only thing the Negroes want to do is lock you up.
Hey, man. Hey.
They ain't got no love for our people, man.
Hey, man. Hey. You done knocked over our stuff now.
Excuse me.
This is a passionate matter.
So I take the brother home. You white folks, you got your damn cart. Take your cart back. But you're not going to lock our brother up. He's already suffering.
Right. Jihad.
Figure out a way to help our people. Don't figure out a way to beat them down when they're already down. Figure out a way to help them. If you got love in your heart, God will open your mind to figure out ways to help our people.
So, Jihad.
But you got to love them first.
So, let me ask you a question.
Now, let me say this. This brother calls me often.
He still call you, and he probably look out for you. He got your back.
This brother said, man, he said, on the way down, he said, man, he didn't realize his ass was finna go to jail.
And the level of loyalty that man has for you.
He said, man.
He got a lot of loyalty and reverence for you, don't he?
Man, that man called me out the blue sometime, man.
Just to check on you.
Yeah.
And what we don't realize in our community, Jihad.
We need to help our people, man.
And in turn.
We don't need to do them like that, man.
And in turn, our people will do what?
Our people will help us. Our people will give back to the community. The people that's being helped, it's a certain amount of those people that's going to give back to the community. They're going to help. They're going to remember the situation they was in. My cousin smoked crack and did everything that comes with smoking crack. Do you know that there have been times she had house gathering where people in the community come and get food? There's been a few times where people walk in the house that didn't know nobody in the house and got a plate.
And that's just off love.
And everybody said, well, like, who was that person? We don't know who he was. You. No, he wasn't.
I ain't going to turn nobody home. Damn, they hungry.
When she was down and out, it was some people that looked out for her.
And in turn?
And she grew in influence.
And in turn, she did
A
what?
lot of y'all don't remember.
What did she do? In turn?
She helped people. You gonna get, I don't care what. If you go over there and you ain't got nothing to eat, you gonna get something to eat, Nate. If she can't give you nothing else, you gonna get something to eat. That's her saving grace. That's her saving grace.
And that's how you build community, right?
That's how you build community. And for people, if you want to influence, that's how you grow in influence, by being a servant of the people.
But see, let me ask you a question, Jihad. Some people want influence but can't handle the responsibility of influence. Would we agree?
It's a challenge.
Because influence is a tool. If you don't use your influence correctly, and you out here using that influence to wrong somebody else, to badmouth, to disrespect others, eventually that influence gonna come back.
I would say this.
You agree with that,
I
right?
agree with you 100%.
Okay.
I would say this. It takes time to learn how to deal with influence. It takes time to be, it takes a certain amount of strategy to develop a certain amount of wit. Sometimes I would call people out that might not be considered guilty of doing something wrong, but I might call them out because they're sitting around people that's doing wrong and won't say nothing.
Are they not using their influence? Like you said,
Or they not using their influence for good.
Right. Agree.
Sometimes I could be more gentle when I do that. But shit, I get frustrated too.
I'm human too.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we have in common, Jihad, is before we go any further, because I think this is where I want to go on the other side of town.
Hey,
now.
I just unblocked him on. I had him blocked on Facebook.
Hold on. This man has been to my family. His man is family.
Right, absolutely.
His boys are my first cousins. So this man has been a part of my family for how old is?
Since 2008.
That's how old your oldest boy is?
Yeah.
So he was at I believe he came to my dad's funeral. My first cousin, her mama, Miss Thelma.
Yeah.
So we family.
Right, absolutely.
Now I know for a fact that I can drive somebody. I'll say this, I drove my family. Because when we would see each other in public, we talk for, but on Facebook, I got to let this man go.
Right.
Why'd you block me?
Hey, look, I'm going to tell you something. There are certain people on Facebook I can cuss out. And I could go to sleep and ain't going to bother me. I get up the next day and cuss them out. But if I have a disagreement, an emotional reaction to a disagreement with somebody that I'm cool with, I got some love for, I'm going to block their ass to keep from cussing them out.
You would have cussed me out, I wouldn't have been mad.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to.
Because, hey, listen, even when you had me blocked and something was going on with one of my dogs, I'm calling Jihad. I don't give a damn. You be mad at me all you want.
Right.
I think, Jihad, I'm going to say this. Matter of fact, we seen each other at the flea market when we finally confirmed we were going to do this. I've said a comment, something that stuck with me ever since we said it. And I don't know if you're going to go on this, but he probably going to cower out on this one. But I want to see if you'll say it again. The comment was, my biggest issue with you guys on the other, we won't talk about Go Forward. Okay. We'll be wrong not to talk about our difference of opinions on Go Forward. Okay. But one of my biggest issues with y'all was you guys you sensationalize the emotions of people without speaking to the logic of people. Did you? Will you say that again?
Let me say
that. Hold on. Don't try to clean it up.
Let me say this about black people.
No. Did you say that?
No.
Yes or no?
Let me say this about black people. black people have to have, in order for us to learn and for our mind to be turned on, we have to have information and inspiration. I can't give you no information without putting no soul to it. Because if I give you some information without putting soul to it, you see how the folks is in the church? The attention span is so short. Secondly, we got to understand that emotions are what? Energy in motion. I want to give you some information, but goddamn, I want to give it to you in such a way that you feel inspired to get up and do something. Not just to say you got a lot of information in your head. Now, pure logic, in terms of dealing with pure logic, if I had a purely logical conversation with 90% of the black people in this city, in Pine Bluff, they wouldn't get it. I know that they wouldn't get it. Based upon
all I wanted you to say.
Based upon experience. Now, and that's not a knock, because I used to be like that, but I learned how to separate the emotional side from the logical side. It takes time. Mm-hmm. See, that's why in the Nation of Islam we have a whole study guide 18, rising above the emotions into the thinking of God, which means God thinks logically. He thinks mathematical. So you're dealing with mathematics and you're mixing it up. We're not there yet. Okay. Once again, there's a different class for people who need to be able to get to where they can separate
emotion from logic.
From logic.
And if, like you say, I agree. If you don't find the emotional pathway for a lot of our people, it's going to be hard to inspire them to move and change.
I'm going to tell you
so
something.
So I agree with that.
There's a guy on the internet. He probably dead now. His name is John Bradshaw. It's a white guy. I incidentally heard my wife listening to something with him on it a couple of nights ago. But when I came up in the counseling field, going through the training academy, in 1999, 2000, first part of 2000, there were counselors, they didn't want to have anything to do with John Bradshaw. Brother, I watched all this stuff about the family dynamics, how the family is like a mobile, so that if you touch one part, all the other parts are affected by the touching of that one part. Mm-hmm. And the different systems, the family role. I studied all that. Then I took it and I put it in my language so that my people could understand it.
Right.
So I'm saying, if you listen to him, it might not touch your soul, but he got some of the best information. When you talking about me listening to people talk about family dynamics,
but he didn't touch your soul.
I would put him in the top 3.
But the dilemma is that he spoke to he gave you all the needed information, but without the emotional.
Without the emotional part. So I had to go take that same information, go back and think about my experience in the family. What happened
and apply it to an emotional.
Me and my siblings after my father got killed and all that. And what was going on with my father? Why he had these 2-3 girlfriends and all that. I had to go back and R2AA to recognize, relate, assimilate, and apply. So the ones you recognize, relate, assimilate, and apply, now you could give it to anybody. Based upon their cultural situation, you could take that same information and you could wrap it in such a way and give it to anybody. Same information.
You just wrap the emotions into it. Or not necessarily the emotions, but the experience. Yeah. Yes. The actual experience.
And we have an emotionally charged culture experience. Even when you talk about crime and violence, we talk about Lil Boosie. My cousin is a fan of Lil Boosie. And somebody wrote on Facebook, said, free Lil Boosie. And I said, no, leave Lil Boosie ass where he at. And I explained.
He gonna beat that charge, though.
And brother, listen to this. Let me tell you this.
He gonna beat that charge.
He may beat that charge. But our people need to quit following that dude.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? He can't think. He ain't no thinker.
I agree with that. I agree with that with anyone who
that damn dude just as dumb as this damn thing here.
Hold on now. I will say this. My dilemma with anyone, and even with us sometimes, we speak to emotions more than we're speaking to logic.
Right.
And our inability to deliver the message and information is a problem. What happens is that we have people who will get into situations and influence and things of that nature who speak to our people's emotions and get people all riled up and give them misinformation and rile them up with all this misinformation and then influence them in the wrong way. Will we agree or disagree with that?
Let me say that.
Can we agree or disagree with that, though?
You're always gonna have that. But here's why I encourage our people to do this.
Study.
You got to study.
To find yourself approved.
Here's the thing.
You got to go find the correct information.
I post on Facebook and I say, we're having a town hall meeting, right?
They're not coming.
Okay. We having yesterday they met with the superintendent of the school district. There's a lot going on finna take place in the school district. I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not exactly for sure what came out of that. But there's somebody who can go to that meeting and ask questions. They're gonna sit down and kick back and relax. And then they're gonna depend on me or you
to deliver the information.
To do for them what they could have did for themselves. Mm-hmm. Our information may be right, it may be wrong. It may be something that we're not looking at. We may have some holes. We may have been passed some bad information, or whatever the case is. But at the same time, every individual has a responsibility for themselves.
100%. 100%.
I don't agree with. There's not a human being that I know of
that you agree with 100%.
I agree with 100%.
I agree with that. Let me ask you a question, Jihad. If a community wants to grow, a community can only grow through two ways: increase its tax base or tax itself. Will we agree or disagree with that? How else can a community grow?
Increasing the tax base
and
or taxing itself.
Now, in order, you agree with that, correct?
I can see that, yeah. I can see that.
Now, in order to increase its tax base, it has to find gainful, it has to be able to produce something in order to increase your tax base. So now your community is now producing something. Right. So that means an employer or someone has came to your area and said, we're going to employ people to increase your tax base.
Right. Okay.
Why would a Fortune 500, a Fortune 1000, why would any organization come to Pine Bluff?
Looking at the,
if I better yet, let me package this another way.
Let me say this. Looking at, if I was to go on Google now and I would, because crime is a big thing all over the country. But if I went to Google now and I said, what is the crime rate in Pine Bluff? One of the things that would pop up is that if you are in Pine Bluff, you have a 1 in 13 chance of being a victim of a property or violent crime. It is more likely that you will be a victim of a crime in Pine Bluff than any city in Arkansas. The crime rate is very high. For me as a business person,
per capita,
if I had money, I would have to look at factors other than crime to make the decision. If I looked at crime, I would say, no, I'm not going to move my business there. Okay? But you also got to look at what the market is, what the competition is. Can you give an example? We have I hope brother don't mind me mentioning this, we got a taco place down there on Hardin. I ain't never bought a taco from there yet, but I think I'm going to buy something tomorrow. Okay?
On Hardin.
Yeah, on Hardin.
Rick's Tacos, my friend.
There's a taco there.
Yeah, my brother Steve Mays, my brother. That's my brother, I love him.
Now, I was going to Little Rock.
Time out.
No, I'm finna show you.
Because here's why I say time out on that. I'm not talking about a restaurant. I'm talking about an employer that can employ 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 people.
Any business.
Why would I?
If I looked at any business, if I say any business, I don't care whether it's bringing some apartment complex that's gonna help people. I would have to look at what does the market look like in that city.
No, okay. So let's say
Okay, because hold on, listen. Because if let's say if it's something in Pine Bluff that people are going to Little Rock to get, or they're going somewhere else, and I could put it right there, and they don't have to go 40 miles out of the way to get it, then that's profitable for me. That I could provide that service, and they're likely to get it from me.
Let me say this, then.
So there's a lot of factors you got to look at when you talk about relocating a business. There's a lot of things you got to look at.
So let me say this. Let me recut this cake. Then I have a national product that I'm trying to mass produce. Why would I? And I'm trying to mass produce this product that I ship out across the country, across the world. I need 100 employees. I need, and I already got 20 managers who need to uproot their families, put their kids in Pine Bluff schools, not Whitehall schools, but Pine Bluff schools. And I need to get 100 employees from Pine Bluff. Why would I do this? And I got a national product, international product.
It's not.
Would you do it?
It just all depends. It's not logical to do it on the surface because of the way the condition that the school district is in, the way crime is posed in the city. You have a lot of people that don't want to work. They don't hold jobs. The education level is low. However, if I own a place like U.S. Steel, and I can get somebody to do a job in Pine Bluff for $17 that I got to pay somebody anywhere else $23 to do, I'm going to put my damn company there.
And not only else, you know what else I'm going to come? Because Pine Bluff got a way I can ship it out. They got railing. They got air. Well, you can't really count air. But they got railing. They got water.
But the airport ain't that far. I mean,
yeah, but you can't. Right. In
Little
Little Rock. Yeah. I agree with that. So you got ways to ship your product out, but you don't have.
Yeah, but keep in mind when you get to talking about shipping product in and out, a lot of times you have to look at what's already being shipped in and out. Now, if there's a lot of stuff that you just may not meet the criteria for.
Right,
okay?
I agree with that.
Like,
but with
if you got waterways coming through Pine Bluff and they're really not really being used at the level, you got to dump so many millions of dollars in it before you can use it, then that becomes a question whether it's worth it or not.
Right,
you got to, in business.
But those aren't the areas that we're discussing, though. The major things. Do I have enough people to work there? And do I have somewhere to put my kids in school? So
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. So we can cancel Christmas on the employer.
Now for the people, sometimes for the people, and you got to see the CEO or the owner and the manager of the company, they have to look at things from a total different perspective than the employer.
Agreed.
If I'm the manager of one of these major companies and I could come in at 9:00 and I could leave at 2, I can live in Little Rock and have my children go to school in Little Rock.
But is that good for Pine Bluff?
Hell no, it ain't good for Pine Bluff.
So
you got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind that a business person, at the end of the day, the first thing they're gonna look out for is their pockets
and their bottom line.
They gonna look at their bottom line.
So my question to you is, Jihad. My question to you is, how is Pine Bluff gonna fix this?
I think that
because now
I think that we should try. I think that we should try to court businesses to come, and I think that we should offer those businesses tax incentives for a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? Those businesses are paying taxes. If they're coming into the city, the city council, city government has the authority to exempt them from taxes for so long. So if they relocate a business, we said that, you're going to bring this business, we're going to exempt you from taxes it's not going to hurt the city.
Agreed.
We don't have to, every business that come here, we don't have to say we're going to tax them to the max. You know what I'm saying?
So it's not going to hurt the city. We're not going to tax the city, but
we're
just
not
won't.
going to get no money from them for the first 2 years they're here. We're not
Right.
getting no.
Okay.
They could take that money, put it into employee training, put it into expansion. They could really build up and put themselves in a good position to take off year 3 or year 4.
And we might even give them a little land.
Yeah.
They've done that statewide.
Yeah, you
so
got to do that, yeah.
So my next question, Jihad, is we were adamant against Go Forward Pine Bluff.
I don't think. Listen, brother. I don't think that everybody was against Go Forward Pine Bluff was not against 100% against Go Forward Pine Bluff. Okay, I ain't have my eye on the money. You got to keep in mind when I first said somebody Go Forward Pine Bluff is when they first crunk up in 2017. They put out that pamphlet with Mayor Shirley Washington on it, who was the incoming mayor, and they had Debbie Hollingsworth on there. They had all these pillars, right? The main thing that I had a problem with was this. They was going to set up basically a political machine, which they was going to have the people that went through the institute, the Civic Institute, to run for office. They was going to filter them. I had a problem with that. And the reason why I have a problem with that because you're saying people that go through this that we set up, our curriculum, our institution, are the people that we're going to be looking at to help put in public office. That amounts to creating a political machine. That's what I had a problem with because I did not want anybody to be able to take control of our black politicians. That's what I feared. Now, when that letter came out about Whitfield, I didn't know nothing about the letter. I was downtown watching the boxing thing, and it was passed to me, and they said, Brother Muhammad, you read the letter? I said, no, I ain't read. What letter? And I got the letter in my hand, and I said then, I didn't say to them, I said, this is exactly what I said was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. Now listen, because here's what, you got to understand my frame of reference. I'm a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Right.
I remember when the Reverend Ben Chavis was pointed at or pinned to be the speaker for Black America as a whole. Jesse Jackson stood down. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, every black leader in America met secretly and agreed that he was going to be the spokesperson. And they was charting a plan for Black America to get us out of the hole that we in, out of the rut that we in. And forces outside of the black community started acting on the NAACP, which he was the head of, and they got that brother out of the way. Well, that's one case, but there are many cases where outside forces have exerted energy and influence on our community and have caused black people to move in a way that wasn't in the best interest of the black community.
Can I pause you right there?
That's always a concern for me.
Can I pause you right there? I agree 100% with what you said. I agree.
Now let me say this. Now, here's the second thing I had, the second problem I had with that. And this going back to putting the responsibility on black leaders in the city or black activists, and I put some of the responsibility on myself. When Go Forward Pine Bluff came up, when they cropped up, if you look at the time that they were studying and meeting and putting things together, we had a majority black city council, right? We had black people on there that we liked. We had Thurman Walker, we had Stephen Mays, it was laced with black, it was laced with black people. Some of them I considered personal friend, which means they could call me and get things done, I could call them. They were arguing, bickering back and forth, and they was not legislating. They were not doing their job. That's the whole reason why Go Forward Pine Bluff came up. The first meeting I attended under Mayor Carl Reedus was a budget meeting where they were voting on the budget. Carl Reedus had to plead with the members of the city council to read the budget before they voted on it, right? Several years later, they were still voting on stuff. That's how Go Forward Pine Bluff got that $6 million without reading it. So that falls on us in terms of the leadership. You got people on the city council. We put people on there. They do not tell us, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. See, real old school politics, it's about having a political platform, right?
Influence.
No, a political platform.
Meaning that you got a plan.
Meaning that, look, here's the 7 things I want to work on. Here's how I'm going to do it. So what we do is
Agree.
we allow politicians to come in our community and say, hey, well, we're going to improve education. Well, that's being ambiguous. Or that's being general. How are you going to improve education? You ask them that, they don't have a plan. So we didn't question them. Many of them people should have never been on the city council in the first place.
Still shouldn't be on
You know what I'm saying? So
now,
go
watch a city council
So
meeting.
now here we
Hold
are.
on. Watch a city council meeting. I just watched one yesterday. And many of our people on there now should not be on there.
Absolutely, I agree. So here's the second layer to the problem. The city council people are supposed to legislate and supposed to manage tax revenue and all of that. Do all the things that Go Forward, Pine Bluff, and Urban Renewal is doing. Now, they supposed to do all of that stuff, right? Now, here's the problem. The problem is now you have people coming to the city council. They don't have an opportunity to put their own agenda on the table and get their own stuff out, even if they had ideas, because they're wrestling with some stuff that somebody else put in their hands. So I'm saying,
I agree with that.
I'm saying this to the new members of the city council, and I may say it sometime critically, but I say it out of love. I don't want them to lose their own flavor and their own goals and things like that. You got to make sure that when you run for leadership, when you get in a leadership position, I don't care who you are, that you have a plan. I have a problem with religious leaders. They don't have a plan. If I ask for the 3-year plan, they can't pull it out. If I ask for the calendar of events, what's going to take place 3 months from now, they can't pull it out. But they want you to get up under them and work with them. The city council members as individuals, I have not seen a plan. The only person I've seen that come up that is moving like they got a plan is Ms. Bronson. Everybody
100%.
else is waiting on
somebody else
to tell them what to do. That ain't how black folks should govern the city.
Now let me break it here. I agree with everything you just said. My dilemma with a lot of people is we've taken when certain people come in and say, well, they handpicked by the city council members, handpicked by Go Forward Pine Bluff. That's not a fair assessment. Because I know people like Letitia. I know people like Brown. Not junior. I mean, not senior.
Listen.
I know these people who going to actually, literally, who have succeeded in life and can take this our city, and lead it and do the actual work.
Listen.
So
I'm going to tell you this. I agree with you to a great extent. But here's the problem. If I agree with you 100%, I'm going to show you what the problem would be. If I agree with you 100% and I just said nothing, then we would have people getting lost in the sauce. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get lost in the sauce.
So basically, you can't agree with me because you know I'm telling the truth.
What I'm saying.
You know I'm telling the truth.
Listen,
That's what it is.
Listen,
I take it.
Listen, here's the problem. This is the problem. Before the election came, that letter came out. See, a lot of people, they're not going to have my perspective because they didn't see the letter. They didn't read the letter. They didn't understand who signed the letter. They may look at the letter and read the letter, and those signatures might not mean nothing to them. You see what I'm saying? But me, because I've studied politics for a long time, and I've studied how I've been involved in politics ever since I got out of prison, 17 days out, I was on the campaign trail. So I understand how politics has worked in the last 30 years in Pine Bluff. I understand that there has been white people, let's just be honest, that have paid black folks to run for office, that have paid black
That's your boy
folks.
Whitfield, wasn't it?
Huh?
Huh?
Say it again.
Wasn't that your boy Whitfield at one point?
I don't know that. I can't speak to something I don't know nothing about.
Okay.
I can't say that.
When he was running
But-
for county judge a couple of times, and out of nowhere, he didn't come in around and just split the vote.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't. Here's what I think. I cannot. If there are 4 people that are running, and somebody throw their head in, I can't say this person threw their head in until now if I follow the money trail and I know this person was nowhere thinking about it, and all of a sudden this person got some money from them and now they running. That's suspect.
I'm just saying.
That's suspect.
I'm just saying. There was a couple of times where you back in the gap.
But listen to this.
We hold on. Is this fact that when he was running for county judge a couple of times, it was him, another brother, Senator Judge Wilkins, and Dutch King.
Okay.
Whitfield just came out of nowhere
I don't know that.
to split the vote. It
don't know
looked
that.
that's from the outside looking
I
in.
can't say that because I don't even remember whether he threw his head in first. I don't remember what the conversation.
From the outside
I don't
looking
remember
in, that's what it looked
what
like.
the conversation was. This is what I would tell you, that as early as last week, I found out that somebody else may be running for a particular office. If I wasn't in the loop and we got all the way down the road and that person decided to throw their head in after another person announced, I could easily say that because I wasn't privy to what the plans were. I could easily say that. There have been people that said this person ran for this office and they was getting $10,000, and the person that told me that, I said to them, brother, why don't y'all, because y'all know this for a fact, why don't y'all expose them? And,
They want you to be the bad
and
guy.
they said, this person said to me, if I did that, I would be ostracized from the group. Okay? There
There go that courage you was talking about.
yeah, but I got sent pictures of Democrats supporting Republicans for public office. Anybody could have put those pictures out there. I'm not a Democrat. I feel like it's the Democrats' responsibility to hold their own party members accountable. But these were elected officials supporting not only
From
did
another
they,
party,
not
right.
only did they cross racial lines, it went against a black man for a white woman. You know, we've been good historically. We have been good at doing that. You know, we want the white woman. Because when we see white women, we just start slobbing at the mouth and all that. So no. Let me get finished. So they supported the white woman over our brother. They crossed party lines. They supported a Republican over a Democrat. It's not my job. I'm not a Democrat. It's the Democrats' job to check their own people. They're the ones that's telling us to get out and vote. So I think it's hypocritical that the Democratic Party of Jefferson County did not hold their own members accountable. So when it comes down to election, I want to bring this back up. When they get to talking about get out and vote party line, bullshit. Y'all have a responsibility to your party. You have a responsibility to the black people that are Democrats that stand in long lines and have courage and confidence that y'all gonna do the right thing.
Not even just that,
And then I'm gonna tell you
they
what the
have
white
a
girl
responsibility
did. Let me tell you
to
what the
do
white,
what's
Let
right.
me tell you what the white girl did. She added their ass. She used them up like freaking toilet paper, and she put the shit on Twitter for the whole world to see it. But now we'll go back and vote for them black men because we ignorant and we ain't got the courage and we don't know no better. That's why I'm saying we got to educate our people.
You
This
just told the
platform
story
gotta
of
be-
Wolfie, you know that, right?
I don't know that. I can't. You know,
I'm telling you
one
that.
thing about me. One thing about me.
You don't know that, but I'm telling you
one
that's
thing
what
about-
happened.
But one thing about me, I'm not going to call a man name and say a man did something wrong, and I don't know that. I
Right.
haven't investigated it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
have
agree.
no documentation. I'm just saying he threw his name in there, and so
You
he had
don't
to
know
pay.
when it-
I don't think
you don't
that's
know
fair.
when. I agree with
I'm not
that.
going to follow that.
I agree with Jihad, but this is what I will say. We can agree. We did agree on The one important
And besides,
on two things.
Let me say this
We,
about
hold on. We did agree
Whitfield.
on two things, right?
Okay.
And before we put Whitfield, that's my guy, 100%. I wholeheartedly respect and love that brother. The same mess I talk to him about y'all now is the same mess I talk to him about every time I see him. So don't think that
So let me say this about Whitfield, because you brought up his name.
Mm-hmm.
I've been knowing Whitfield for a while. And I have had dealings with the police on both sides of the law.
Yeah.
And I know Whitfield to be, from my dealing with him,
On both sides.
I know him to be a fair man. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
I remember when he got fired, and there were people that were very disappointed about that. I remember when Brother Donald got jumped on. I was a member, the minister of the Nation of Islam, and I went to Whitfield about these police putting their hands on that brother. And I asked him, I said, brother, tell me, was this brother wrong or was the officers wrong? Because if he's wrong, it's our responsibility to hold him accountable. And he told me, he said, Jihad, the police was absolutely wrong. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know there was a lawsuit behind a man getting fired unjustly at the police department. And Whitfield stood up for that man and became a target because he said this man should not be fired. He didn't do nothing wrong. The city didn't listen to him. They fired the man and wound up being under a lawsuit.
And had to pay him.
So all of us have a history. If I dig into anybody's history, I probably will find some that,
Please don't dig into mine.
you know, probably some that's not nice. It's some that people, but I have to deal with people as for who they are now.
Right.
And right now, that brother is the president of the NAACP. He's doing an excellent job. I'm gonna ride with him until the wheels fall off. That's my guy.
You
know
just
what I'm
joined the NAACP.
That's my guy.
You just joined the NAACP yourself.
No. But
How long you been a part of it?
I've been fighting for black folk for a long time.
A long time.
And I would have, if I felt like the leadership was not being bought, was not paid for. If I felt like Simmons Bank wasn't controlling the NAACP, I would have joined years ago.
But now that he Whitfield there.
And they not in control of the NAACP no more, like they was in the past. Now I could join. But I'm not going to join nothing that the folks down at the bank is in control of.
Can we agree? Will we agree that we all love Pine Bluff?
Hell yeah, absolutely.
I just
And
want to make
we all want to see the city grow. We just have different ideals. I think
ways of going about it.
And here's what I think. I think that I know that there's going to be some adjustments to the plan that they have now. I know that they're going to come back up and try to renew the tax. I'm going to be watching to see what adjustments they make. You know what I'm saying? I think that if they make some adjustments, that they may can get some action. So I'm going to be watching for those adjustments. And I'll say this, you know, there's a mayor election, there's an election coming up. There are some people that's going to throw their head in the race. I'm going to be watching to see what their platform is and if they have things that on the agenda for the city that I feel like the city really needs, I'm going to get behind the person that has that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not making a commitment to anybody, to support anybody, until I see their platform, until I see what they're advocating. And then whatever weight I have with the people, I'm going to put my weight behind the person I feel like, you know, is putting the best agenda up there.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. We all love our city. We're going to support who has the best platform and plan for Pine Bluff. I'm willing. I follow Go For It. I feel like it's right now we have to have someone who wants to pour into Pine Bluff. And that's just the only way. We're not going to get some international. We're not going to get a new paper mill. We're not going to get a new Kiss Wire. We're not going to get a new organization to come in and say we're going to bring 1,000 jobs to Pine Bluff. We got to do this thing ourselves. And only way we're going to do this thing ourselves is by partnering with organizations like Simmons, like Reliance, organizations who have funding and opportunity to help us grow. And the only way we can do that successfully is by being transparent, is by being open, being honest, and being able to build bridges to everyone and making sure that everyone is included and everyone has an equal opportunity to take part in it. Let's leave the emotional sensationalism apart. Let's do this and think through this.
Just give me some of that check, brother. You betting hard. Give me some of that check.
Ain't no check, man. I just love my city. I love my city, man. For real. God has blessed me. I can go anywhere.
Right.
My mom and my dad laid their foundation in Pine Bluff.
Right.
My roots are Pine Bluff. My family in Pine Bluff. I live in Pine Bluff now.
Right.
When I'm home, I feel better. And that's
Nate, you ain't got no felony, do you?
No, I'm clear, free and clear, baby.
You might need to run for office, brother.
We might see what we can do.
I
done made a few people
I know
mad.
you was tossing it around there for a minute. But
Politics,
man, you ain't gonna please everybody. Yeah.
You ain't gonna please everybody. I will say this.
Listen, as I said, I know whoever get and whatever seat it is not gonna. Everything is not gonna be to my liking, but there are some key things I think need to be done in the city that can be done. I'm tossing some ideas around. I'm gonna continue to toss some ideas around. Let's see who pick them up, and then we'll go from there. But I'm gonna see who is really footing it, because at this point, the city council needs to be revamped.
I say definitely 3 seats. 3 people need to be moved.
Well, I would say at least 5 people need to go.
I give 4.
At least 5. If you have been on that city council for, I'm gonna give you my yardstick. If you have been on that city council for 2 terms, and you can't show me a piece of hallmark legislation that you put together that has a major impact on the city, you got to go.
Got to go.
I like you. I'll shake your hands. You ain't, even if it didn't get passed, but you got this package and you say, look, this is what I tried to get done for the city. This is what would have happened. I could give you a ride, but like I told one brother, I said, man, look, you got to utilize UAPB.
But you don't
Go get them students to do the research and help put it together. You know what I'm saying? You got students in college. Go talk to them teachers. Get them some extra credit. Get one of those classes to work on a project. Bring that stuff to the city council and get it passed. Even if you don't have to wait for somebody in the community to do a town hall meeting. Why do we got to wait on the NAACP to do a town hall meeting when really you got elected people that are elected? They could have did it in their own ward. A town hall meeting for my ward. Ward 3 or Ward 4. They not doing nothing, man.
Right.
That's the problem.
We need progressive-minded people.
2 years. 2 years, you get a pass from me on that city council.
No, not even
No. 2 years, there's a certain amount of training. There's a certain amount of things you got to get acclimated to. You got to know how to read those budgets. You got to know how to go 2 years. That last 2 years, you're supposed to be knocking it out the park. You go back up for re-election that first time, you ain't got nothing to show us, you need to go home.
Agree, because it's 4 years,
We
right?
ain't got time, it's 4 years. You do your 2 years learning, you do your next 2 years, I want to see you legislating.
Agreed. I agree 100% with you.
Knocking it out the park.
2 years, learn the game. Next 2 years, you got to have beating creative. And look at Letitia.
See,
Letitia then already came in kicking the door down.
She betting hard. What I'm going to be watching for after that first 2 years is what her legislation look like.
If she get a grocery store
She
in
laying
Palm
the
Bluff,
base to get the people behind her. So if something comes up, she can call the people and she going to get the crowd to come.
Listen. Jihad, if she get a grocery store on the east side,
Oh, it'll be over with.
you can count
And
Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be over with. That'll be a hallmark. You don't need no one thing. This is why I endorse Joni over Thelma Walker that last time and we put Joni in there. Because, number one, Thelma Walker made some mistakes, okay? Number two, I asked, what is your hallmark legislation as long as you've been on the council? And Sister said, taking those medals from the officers that murdered Mr. Isidore. Why it was a noble thing, it's not enough. You know, you got to have something. If you're going to sit there for years,
Real
term
tangible.
after term, you got to have some real tangibles for the city. And I think when people that's going to vote start thinking like that, say, hey, look, you got to give us something. If you want to stay there, people are going to come and they're going to know that they got to do the real work.
And that's part of the problem as well. The people have to require something.
But they're not educated.
The people, right? And the people have to require something, and the people have to start turning out.
Right.
If I'm gonna tell you something, that is the first problem with Pine Bluff. Our lack of turning out to vote. If we start voting in numbers, Tom Cotton will come. He gonna have to come to Pine Bluff with his checkbook open,
Right.
with that federal checkbook open,
Right.
to speak to these programs, challenges, and issues in Pine Bluff, Jefferson County. Right now, he don't even have to visit Jefferson County. If you ask Tom Cotton or if you check his roll to see if he's had any legislation, anything to do with Pine Bluff, he ain't got to. I love my Flowers. I love both of them dearly. But we have to get them. And I know they do the work. Miss Vivian, a dear friend of mine who I love and cherish, she does the work. But if they don't, we got to figure out a way for them to help us push this vote out.
Here's the thing.
Because the reason if we don't get our people engaged in voting, we're telling the powers that be, we're telling Huckabee, it's okay. We don't care. Because stuff like Arkansas Learns,
I think
the new prisons are going to affect Pine Bluff more than anywhere else.
I think that we have to do that, but I think that we have to know what we want and what direction we're moving in as a community. I think sometimes we don't know what we want and we contradict ourselves. Let me give you an example. When they had this big meeting at this church by the prison, they was talking about they didn't want the state to use state property to bring people from the prison and put them over there. They said it was enough prisoners and ex-offenders in Jefferson County.
They ain't want no more, I remember.
They ain't want no more. But then they turned around and gave that white boy Jeremy 3, not 1 or 2, but 3 facilities to pack with ex-offenders.
Right.
So you got to know what you want. You can't say, no, we don't want it, and then turn around and embrace some stuff that you said you didn't want. It don't make sense. They asked him 3 questions. And one of the questions was about people from Jefferson County, and he flat out told them. Now look at the logic of this. I'm not going to take people from Jefferson County. But you'll take people from the other 74 counties and dump them in Jefferson County? And the city council went for that. We need, that's what I'm saying. We need thinkers on the city council. They went for that, brother. Yeah. And that man walked out and started building everywhere, and they flooding Pine Bluff with ex-offenders from all over the state.
Well, I'll tell you, we ain't got no critical thinkers up there now. I mean, ain't none now, baby. Well, it's some.
And then they won't listen. When they gave that, they made a mistake and gave that $6 million. I told them, I said, look, y'all done fucked up. I'm giving them goddamn money. Y'all done realize y'all should have read that budget. I said, they were talking, well, we gonna do legislation to call it back. I said, do not mess with that. Leave it alone. You don't have the numbers. Leave it alone. You can't reverse it. They want to try to reverse it anyway and get up there and make themselves look like an ass. You could have rolled under the fucking radar.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why they start throwing them up under the bus.
They can't think.
And that's why they start throwing them up under the bus right there.
You can't think, but then here you got somebody that's looking out for you, that's guiding you, that's giving you wisdom about the situation, and you still won't listen.
Time to go.
Our brother Readers love him to death. That's my brother. But I told him, I said, man, you got to go back and make it right with them pastors. Wouldn't listen. He could have got the seat again. Well, if you made a mistake with them, go and fix that. They standing with open arms ready to forgive you, brother. Go and fix that situation. Won't listen.
We got to
Wind
figure out.
up. Let a woman get in there. They couldn't do number one turn. We got to start listening.
Can we agree with this, and then we're going to get out of here? We have to figure out a way to build bridges in our community. We got to figure out a
I
way
agree with you 100% on that.
to reach. We may not agree on everything, but the things we do agree on, we have to be able to build on.
Right.
And like you said, critical thinking, the inability to critically think and to get caught up in the emotions where we're not thinking through these things, that's been our challenge in our community. And until we start critically thinking, building relationships, bridging the gap in our community, we're going to continue to suffer and be the handmaid of somebody else, allowing someone else to educate our children, allowing someone else to educate us, allowing someone else to police us, all these things where we have no real authority and power in a 80-90% black town.
I agree. It's like if you don't have a plan, somebody else has a plan for you.
We baby. Hey man, Jihad, you got any? Hey, before we go, tell us more about this class and what we need to do. We got 2 minutes to do it.
We are planning on hosting a conflict resolution, squash the beef seminar for those who want to be in the community to work to reduce crime and violence. We want to do it on between the 20th and the 24th, 2 days, hopefully Saturday evening, and then Sunday sometime after church, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. It's going to require us to have some money. There's 2 trainers. We got to fly in. We got to take care of their plane ticket, their hotel. We have some brothers that's going to do their security and make sure that their food is taken care of. If we can get that money collected, then we'll make it happen. So I want to say this about that event. It requires money. If you donate, you will be issued a receipt for your donation, okay? When you come into the meeting, there's going to be a list on the wall of who all donated and what they donated, okay? You need to make sure that your name is on that list. If your name is not on that list, then that would mean some funny business has went on. But I'm going to be responsible for every dollar and every dime. So you need to make sure that you get a receipt. Get a receipt. We need 20 men to donate $100. That will put us at $2,000. If we get the women to join later, put us at $4,000, we could bring these guys in at least twice, maybe 3 times, give them a little something for coming, and let them help us walk us through the process of reducing crime and violence right there in Pine Bluff.
Oh, baby. Hey, Jihad, I am so grateful and appreciative of you coming in. We've been on here for almost 2.5 hours.
And we ain't really been repeating ourselves, Nate. We got that dog in us.
We know what we talking about.
Right.
And because it's a genuine conversation, I'm glad we had a chance to have this conversation. I don't never want nobody to mistake me and Jihad disagreeing for me not loving Jihad and for Jihad not loving me.
Right.
Like we've said, we family at the end of the day.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, my little cousins, hey, we family. So you can cut that cake however. The beautiful thing about it is that we can disagree and then still figure out a way to build bridges and remain on one accord. The unfortunate part is so many of y'all who can't.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and end the show because now I feel like we in around the 870 show part of time where I want to start talking noise.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Don't be trying to leave now.
Hey, I got to get out of here.
Don't be trying to, I want to start talking noise now.
Hey.
You was on the show with somebody else a couple of weeks ago, and I really want to talk about that now. I'm going to leave that man, that sassy little boy alone. I'm going to leave that little girl alone.
Y'all got to cut it out.
I'm telling you.
Been warned. Y'all got to cut it out.
I'm going to leave little sassy Cannon alone, man. Look,
Hey, I ain't
you
touching
know that dude sassy?
I ain't touching that.
Ooh, hey, mark your bottom. This your boy Big Nate, baby. This the real underground radio station. This Nate Logic, baby.